What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to JJD TV. I'm your host, Josh, and today we have brought you the episode you guys have been asking me to do forever. I have gotten it every single watch along we have ever done. It's the same questions. They come 5, 6, 7 times in these watch alongs, and they're valid and they're great questions. There's 2 of them. They're going to connect in this little episode here, and I'm going to answer who is going to be Borussia Dortmund's manager next season. And before that, going to touch on how do I rate Lucien Favre. Those are the 2 questions that I get asked all the time, and I just keep saying like little parts because I don't want to give a full out answer because I wanted to do this video for you guys. So sit back, strap in, and get ready because this should be a good one. It's a video I was very looking forward to make. Producer T's here, got everything ready for me, and I'm good to go. So let's start off with the first question. The first question you guys asked me is, how do you rate Lucien Favre? So to start that off, I'm going to tell you why I rate him pretty well. If you go back to the Jurgen Klopp era, the titles, the cup victory, the Champions League final run, absolutely sensational manager, the joy he brought to us. The last season where he finished in that poor 7th place, knew his time was come, beautiful emotional goodbye, and then he went on his way. And then we got in Tuchel, who actually did unbelievably well, taking the 7th place finish up to a 2nd, great points return, and then had to leave through things I'm not going to get into with the argument with the board, yada, yada, yada. He went on his way, had to start over again. I thought Tuchel was going to be with us for years, and obviously that wasn't the case. And then we brought in Peter Bosz, who looked to absolutely turn it around. Started off 6-1, and then went on the most dismal streak you'll ever see to get sacked. Brought in Peter Stoger, who finished off the season, got us into barely a 4th place finish. And then, once again, after that dreadful season, we had to take a look at ourselves and seeing what were we going to do the next season. Well, a manager that I actually liked at the time because of what I've known about him with his work at Gladbach and Nice and Ligue 1, came over. Lucien Favre took the reins. Marco Reus went into a form I've never seen and took a team that I never would have expected at all, looking at them, to go on a title challenge, and honestly probably should have won the league that year, and just some inexperience, the striker issue we know. But he took hope, because that season before was the most frustrated I've ever been watching Dortmund play, and even though we finished 4th compared to the 7th with Klopp, but it was just poor football all around, and the mixed manager middle of the season, I never liked seeing that. So to see Favre come in and put that title rush together, and knowing that close we are, which broke my heart in the end, but it was still made me rate him. Going to the next season, we brought in Hummels, we brought in Schultz, we brought in Brandt, we brought in Hazard. It looked like a season where we were going to walk away with the title, in my opinion. Like, we upped our squad like no other and ended up being a regression a bit. He got caught between formations. I was rumors that he didn't love the fact that Dalio was sold over to PSG and Hummels was brought in, and there was a whole bunch of bits and pieces there. Now this is his 3rd season. And in my opinion, because I get asked this all the time, like, will you fire him this season? And my answer now, and it should stay like this all season long, no. Favre will not be fired this season. Unless we go on a drastically awful losing streak, Favre will see out the season with Borussia Dortmund, depending on if we win anything. And honestly, unless we win the league or the Champions League, even the DFB Pokal, I don't think is enough to get him to sign a new contract. I think he will leave at the end of the season if he doesn't come up with those 2 pieces of silverware. So that being said, I do rate him. I think he's done some good things with Borussia Dortmund. He has been the 2nd best points return. He gets averages about 2 points, 2.09 or something along those lines. I don't know because it changes game to game, but he's the 2nd best point return manager behind Tuchel, and he's above Klopp, who is 1.9. So he's obviously done some wonderful things. He's a little bit stubborn at times and does some questionable calls, which is why people are always at his head. But in general, he's been a good manager for us, and I have no problem with saying that. And that means if we get something this year, like I mentioned, the league or the Champions League, he will more than likely be here for another season. That being said, in case that doesn't happen, in my opinion, if that doesn't happen and we go, unfortunately, trophyless, which I obviously don't want to happen, I think that we're going to look for another manager. And I'm going to mention four 3 to me are only realistic, and I'm going to look at the suitability of the coach as well as the probability. So to look at the one that I think is going to be number 4 on this list, that's Mauricio Pochettino. Pochettino's obviously done some wonderful things with Espanyol as well as Tottenham. Grabbed a Tottenham team that was just atrocious at the time. I can't even get into how poor they were and what he turned them into, challenging for the title in the Premier League, actually qualifying for Champions League, and then bringing them somehow to a Champions League final is beyond me. I couldn't believe Tottenham was in a Champions League final. But he lost the League Cup final, he lost the Champions League final. Hasn't won any silverware, but in my opinion is a very high quality manager. I just don't see him not having a job until the end of the season. Like I said, I don't believe Favre will be fired mid-season. He's available right now. That means if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets fired at United, which is a huge possibility because they are just drastically weird this season, it is a big possibility that he gets fired and Pochettino comes in. And I just think that's very realistic. But even if that doesn't happen and Pochettino makes it to the end of the season, there may be other clubs coming at him at that point that I think is a lot harder for Borussia Dortmund to tie him down. The only realistic opportunity I think that he will come to this club is if we fire Favre mid-season and then go after him. So looking at the suitability, I think the suitability is pretty decent. I loved what he did at Tottenham. I did not like that Tottenham team. And to end up bringing them to what they've done, I rate it. So I think the suitability of him coming to Borussia Dortmund is a 7.5 out of 10. The possibility, however, I believe is a 3 out of 10. For the reasons I just stressed on, and I think he will honestly go to United, or maybe take the whole season off and then potentially go to somewhere else. Maybe a Barcelona, who knows where he's going to go, but I just don't think it's going to be Dortmund. That leads into our big 3. 3 names, you probably all are familiar with them, but you may not know which order I'm going to put them in. And just to let you guys know, I don't have a preference of a manager, because I'm not sure exactly what this Borussia Dortmund team needs right now to bring them to that another level. These 3 managers are all very high quality. I like them all, but there's just something about them that is not exactly what I think we need right now. That being said, they're the most realistic, and I'm going to go through them. The first one is Julian Nagelsmann. Now, I don't have to talk about Nagelsmann too much. He is obviously the little tactician that we know that he is, but I think he's going to be the 3rd most likely to get this job for several reasons. The first being that he's tied down to Leipzig till 2022, and from what I've read, he's not in any real rush to jump to Dortmund. Leipzig's a great club for him right now. He's doing wonderful things. He's got them playing free-flowing football, which is what he likes to do. Very high press. They're very good on the ball, and I just don't think that he's going to be able to get out of that contract and go to Dortmund. So that's one big thing for me, looking at him. But taking a look at him, I mean, he is a good manager, and I would like to potentially see him until I found out that he was a Bayern fan. So let me know if you guys agree with me or not, because for me, the fact that he's a Bayern fan, I don't know, it just threw me completely off of Nagelsmann. I don't know how accurate that was. I've read it in a few different places, so I mean, if I'm wrong, let me know, but I just don't think that Leipzig are willing to give him up. I don't like the fact that he's a Bayern fan. I just want either kind of like a neutral to come in, or just someone who obviously loves the club and wants to bring them, or someone who's won it all. And Nagelsmann, just like Pochettino, hasn't won anything. Yeah, I mean, he's 30, 33, 34. He's very new to this, and he's done a great job, but that's what I mean. We just kind of need that killer instinct, and that's what I think. So looking at the suitability, I think he could come into Dortmund and do a job. Seeing if he could win the league and the cup and compete in the Champions League, that's a whole different ballgame, but there's no reason why I don't think he could. So I really do think the suitability, again like Pochettino, is a 7.5 out of 10. The possibility goes down a little bit though. The possibility for me is a 6 out of 10. I just don't think that there's enough there to suggest that he's going to leave Leipzig anytime soon. So then that goes into the top 2. And I'm very excited to get into the number 1, but you guys might not know the order, and I will explain why. And again, I am not directly involved with the team. I don't know these answers. I haven't talked to these people. This is my personal opinion on articles I've read and just in general following the team. So for me, the second most likely manager to take over Borussia Dortmund is Marco Rose. Now, Rose has done some wonderful things in his career with Salzburg as well as with Gladbach. He's got them playing, again, free-flowing football. They're high press, they're good on the ball, they're very tactical with the way that he sets up. And I just don't see him again getting stripped down from Gladbach and moving over to Dortmund. He's tied there till 2022 as well, and he's doing some wonderful things to Gladbach. Gladbach has done a lot of business with Dortmund over the years. Favre, De Hood, Hazard, Royce, like the list goes on, and I just don't see Rose getting taken very easily away from Gladbach right now, even though I think that he would do a good thing. He's won 2 Austrian Bundesligas as well as the Austrian Cup there with Salzburg, so he is a manager who's got some silverware to his name. But again, for me, I don't know what it is about him, not that I don't think he would do a good job. I just don't know if he's exactly what we need to take the team to the next level. I don't know if he's that much better than Favre. I like the fact that he's German, and I do like the fact that he's young, he's 47, and could be there for some time. Because I want a manager who is about that age, who is under 50 to come in and can be there for a while, because the club can just divulge you and bring you inside and just take them to another level. But for me, I just think that there's, for other reasons I'm going to touch on, another manager that's just above Rose on that list. So for me, the suitability, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I like what Rose has done at Gladbach. I like the system he lines up. I like what he can do. And I think with speaking German and the points I touched on, he would fit in pretty well at Dortmund. But the likelihood, I'm thinking it's a 7 out of 10. We saw a couple comments that he made and that the rumors are there, no doubt about it. So I'm not saying this is not going to happen. I just think for likelihood, it's a 7 out of 10. I don't think there's a clear indication that he's going to leave and Gladbach will let him leave all that easy. So that leaves one name on the top of my list. And the ideas came to me left, right, and center. For you guys, I took international business and I majored in marketing, so my mind kind of sometimes steers to the outside of the football mindset. But before I get into that, let me just kind of go through the manager I think has the most likely potential to take over Borussia Dortmund next season, and that is Jesse Marsch. The main reason which I'm going to touch on, but he is a solid manager. There's no question about that. He's been very involved with the Red Bull, different clubs all over. He's been with Red Bull in New York Red Bulls, obviously. And then he went over and he was an assistant manager in Leipzig, as well as going over to Salzburg, where he as well has a bit of silverware. He actually won the Supporters' Shield for New York Red Bulls. He won the Austrian Bundesliga and the Austrian Cup. So he's got 3 pieces of silverware, just like Marco Rose, and I like that. I like that about him, and I like that about Rose, is that they actually have a little bit of silverware to their name. That being said, it is the Austrian Bundesliga, and they were in charge of Salzburg, but Jesse Marsch has got that little bit extra to having a fantastic season with the New York Red Bulls. But that's not the main reason. I do like the way that he sets up. Nagelsmann sets up, and you can't even describe it. It could be the 4-4-2, it could be the 3-4-2-1, it could be the 4-2-3-1. You never know with him. He's wild that way. For me, Rose's preferred formation is a 4-2-3-1, and then that leaves Jesse Marsch playing in the 4-4-2, which is a formation I don't know would go over that well in the Bundesliga. And I think a big thing for Jesse Marsch is, if you got this job, would be to really be able to up his game tactically, to be able to change and play in a whole different way from the Bundesliga to the Austrian Bundesliga, because again, the 4-4-2 is a formation that's got to be played very unique and very different to be able to be successful in different ways. You've seen the way that how Leipzig and Salzburg play. You see the way Atletico Madrid plays it. Very different. And for me, this Dortmund team just doesn't fit a 4-4-2. So I'd assume if he come in, he'd have to change his personnel a little bit. All 3 managers are very high pressing and attack minded, and they're very good on the ball and long balls, and all of them are sort of similar in that way. But the thing that puts Jesse Marsch away from everybody else, in my opinion, is the fact that he's American. And I could be totally wrong about this, but I do love to see the fact that the Bundesliga is growing so well in the North American market right now. I'm talking Canada and the United States with TV rights and whatnot, and there's always been that little connection between the United States and the Bundesliga, especially Borussia Dortmund. We've seen Pulisic and now Reina there. So the one thing I'm really liking, and the thing I'm hearing about Jesse Marsch making that step, is the US soccer and the US in general would love it. A manager of his quality, and in my opinion, the best US manager right now, jumping and taking reins of a club like Borussia Dortmund speaks volumes. there was rumors that he got offered a job at Schalke. So he's tied to a contract till 2022 as well. So 2 of them are tied to 2022, Nagelsmann's at 2023. But for me, if we approach one of those 3 managers, I believe Salzburg would be the easiest one to be able to work some kind of deal out to get Jesse Marsch compared to direct rivals of Gladbach and Leipzig. And the fact that Jesse Marsch was rumored to be the one to turn down Schalke and said, I only want to go for a big club, and I do see myself, no offense Schalke, in the Bundesliga. So it just makes total sense. And then from the marketing point of view, when I put on my marketing cap, I was like, that is exactly what the US would probably want to do and make that connection with the Bundesliga, and it would be huge. And it makes sense for several other reasons. The fact that he has experience with Holland, the fact that he has coached in Germany before with Leipzig, that he's really rised up from the New York Red Bulls to obviously Salzburg, which is he's winning titles, and then the experience in Germany I think is very key as well. And the more I talk about it, the more it feels like a fit. And I love the fact that the Bundesliga is growing here. It makes me so happy. It's the whole reason that this channel started. And it just makes sense that the next big step is an American manager taking over a club like Borussia Dortmund. It speaks volumes. So for me, from that point of view, it seems like a no-brainer, especially the fact that the other 2 managers, if you include Pochettino, 3 managers, seem very challenging to get. Jesse Marsch has got that connection in a very growing market over here, and he's a good manager with connections to this club and experience with the German game. So that is who I predict, if Lucien Favre doesn't win any silverware this year, will take over our beloved club in front of next season. So that was a lot of information I left on you guys, but this was a fun video to try to come up with because you guys have been asking me, and there are some other managers out there. Obviously, the young manager we got down in Borussia Dortmund too. Allegri is still out there. There's so many others I could touch on, but I just wanted to focus on the ones that I thought the most realistic chance. And now it's going to turn it over to you guys of what you thought about that, because that was a lot of information, and I was very excited to see it. And then to finally call it all off with Jesse Marsch, the suitability of Jesse Marsch coming to this club, I think is only a 7 out of 10. I'm not fully sure that he's got exactly what it takes to take this team to the next level, but he's the wild card. I don't know what will happen with him coming over here. He may go off on this club and bring us to levels we never even seen or know of, but it is going to be one of those situations of with him just learning and going about the game when he takes over a club of Borussia Dortmund's caliber. But the possibility is the one that's got me, and I think the possibility, because I don't think any of these other things are shoe-in, but I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I think, and I could be completely wrong. I honestly don't know. This is just my personal opinion and what I've read and trying to connect these pieces together. Jesse Marsch seems like the shoe-in to me. So that was it, ladies and gentlemen. That was my little recap of who I think is going to take charge of the reins of Borussia Dortmund next season. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm hoping this will be a big debate. It was very fun breaking down these managers, seeing where they've come and seeing who is the right man to take over our club next season. And who knows, Favre may go on and win the league and it's going to be him again. But that was my little 2 cents. We're going to try to get Tactical Manager on here. He is American. I want him to hear what I had to talk about Jesse Marsch and see what his opinions are about it. But let me know, obviously, in the comments, guys, what you think. I want your opinion about this. It's the international break. We had to get something fun out here for you, and this seemed to be the video to absolutely do so as well. So if you guys are new around here, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.